Hi everybody, Donna Salazar here for Gel Press. Today I'm going to talk to you about your oopsies and your misprints and maybe even accidents. And I'm going to show you how I take some of my accidents and turn them into happy accidents. I take extra prints or prints that I only like a portion of and I turn them into flowers. I'm going to show you how I made some of the flowers on here, and we'll talk a little bit about what to do with extra prints. So I was going to try something fun and new with alcohol inks on my plate, something I hadn't done before. And this is one of those times when just nothing was going right. I tried to blow it on. Obviously, I wasn't using enough. It wasn't going very far. So I tried to add some alcohol ink to the stamp, and that was just removing some of the alcohol ink. So I tried using Distress Oxide on my stamp, and that was just removing more of the ink. So I ended up adding just more Distress Oxide, and I stamped it on. And even though you can't really see it here, once I add the paint, you can see what it was doing on the plate. It was really fun experimenting with all this stuff because, as some of you may know, I was not able to use Ranger products because I was working with a different company, but now I'm not doing that anymore. So now I get to try all of these new products, and I'll be able to, find new things that actually do work next time. But this is an example of a print that isn't awful, but it just wasn't fun. It was just kind of blah. So I decided to take some of these blah prints that I have, because to be honest, this is not the only one that I made, and I turned blah prints into beautiful flowers. So once I pull this up, you can see it's okay. It's not horrible, but what do you do with that big blob in the corner? So here's some of the prints that I had done. I used some dies of mine, the Bitty Blossoms and the Big Blossoms, and some Grand Peony dies as well. That's what these are. And these are all from Spellbinders. And then some leaves and some little flourishes and some shadow flowers. And die cut the green and greenish prints, and then the brighter colors for the flowers. And then I use these for embossing the petals. So these are the one of the flowers that's on the actual finished project. And I just use the embossing stylus to push the edges and the center of each of those petals down into the foam. I've slowed it down here so you can kind of see it a little bit better. And once I go all the way around, you can see it's curling it. It's making it want to turn itself into a flower. I love this die. It's one of my favorites. I've made so many flowers, hundreds and hundreds, probably close to thousands with this die. And then I speed it back up here. Then I'm going to use, the dies that I'm using here are the largest in the Bitty Blossoms, and then the Big Blossom. And then I'm using some Zots and some flower stamens. I just folded them in half and put the adhesive around the top of where the little bumps are. And I just roll it around. It really could not be easier. So I'm taking prints that I never would have done anything with, and I am making them into something that I absolutely will use. So I do 2 of the same size, and that is the largest in the Bitty Blossoms. And then I'm going to do 2 of the Big Blossom. Again, just using the Zots. And you can see some of the flowers that I've already made that are down in the corner. And I'll have individual mini videos of those on the different social media platforms. And then the last one, after I throw the flower around. Now this one, I curled all of them going in the same direction, but this last one, instead of wrapping it so that it cups the rest of the flower, I'm doing it with the petals facing outward so that it is automatically going to have that edge around the outside of the flower, and I don't have to do it with a stylus. You just have to add a little bit more adhesive on that first row to make sure that they stay in place, and then it makes it easier to continue to wrap the rest of the die around. The rest of the die cut, actually, not die. And then a last bit of adhesive. And there's the finished flower. Then I adhered some of the shadow flowers down and used an all pencil to do a watery shadow in the background. Then I used a pen to do a wiggly leaf outline around the edges of the leaf die cuts, and those die cuts are from the Big Blossoms set. And I added flowers in, then I added the little flourishes in. Then I just adhered the print straight onto a mat that came inside of a frame. Obviously I couldn't use the glass. Then I just put it face down into the frame and then added the back on. And this is what it looked like when it was finished. Then I added in a little bit of bling, and this is the finished project. And a close-up. Thanks for joining me. I hope you liked this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!